Angel, and welcome back to Cozy Little Channel. So like the title says, February wrap up. Let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first book I read in February is Honey and Spice, and I finished this February 3rd and rated it 5 stars. It's my first 5-star of the year and well deserved. So this story is about Kiki and Malachi, and Kiki runs like the school's radio show or whatever. If you've ever seen Dear White People on Netflix, I don't know if it's still on there or not, but if you ever seen it, it's kind of giving that vibes. At least that's what I envisioned. So she's a radio podcast host person for I forget what she calls Brown Sugar. That's what the radio show is called, Brown Sugar. And one day she calls out this guy who's like the waste man of Whitewell, which is like the college that they go to, Whitewell College. And she calls this guy out how he's like the waste man of all waste men. He's trash. Don't like interact with him and all this other stuff. And of course she's calling out this guy Malachi. But then that same like day or that weekend or whatever, the campus sees them talking, bantering, all huddled up and stuff like that. And they're like, girl, what? Were you just doing this to keep them for yourself? Like, what do you mean? Da 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 da. And so ensues fake dating, ensues more like banter and love and like whatever else. But this is like really good. And I thought this was like going to be just like a single, I don't want to say one-off, but like a single story. But the sequel of this comes out, I think it's September. It's gonna be called Sweet Heat. And I didn't know, like the way this ended, it didn't seem like there was gonna be grounds for a sequel. But the fact that it's another one, I'm like, ooh, I'm excited. I loved Baba Lola's not art style, but like writing style, and it was just really, really good. My first 5-star, literally well deserved, and I cannot wait for the next book that's coming out in September. I read this on Kindle, but I loved it enough to where I'm gonna buy it and I may like read it again. So I have a physical copy, and it's super pretty and cute. I love the colors and all that stuff. So yes, I recommend this book. Next one I read is Spring Awakening by J.S. Jasper, because if you saw like my other reading wrap-ups or something book related, I've talked about the story that it was coming out. And I finished this September 5th and I gave it 4.5 stars. It's a sports romance. We have the girl, what's her name? Let me see. Mally, and we have, what's his name? Zach. And Mally is like got hired to be like the PR social media person, and Zach plays for like this rugby team and stuff like that. Taking place in the UK, but like a made up town in like the UK. And it's really good. I love like one thing with J.S. Jasper, in case you haven't like read any of her books or you haven't seen my other videos where I talk about her books, her characters are going to be down bad children for each other, and I am literally here for it. Like, I love it. It's like mutual pining, and it's a low stakes romance. Like, you know they're gonna get together at the end. It's just figuring out why and like when and how and all this other stuff. And it's very lighthearted, like I said, low stakes, and it's just like a nice feel-good story, I guess. There's angst in it, but not enough to where it drives the story, if that makes sense. If if you feel like nothing's happening, it's like, that's kind of because you're just learning about the characters falling in love. That's literally what it is, and how they're pinning for each other, and how they just want to like hold hands, or like, oh, I just want them to look at me, and like whatever else. So it's just super like slow pacing, and like the romance, the slow burn, if you will. And I really like it. It's book 1 of like the training season series. So I'm excited to see when book 2 comes out and what that all entails, and I'm probably gonna read it because I really do like her writing style, and with reading most of like her backlog, I know what kind of writing I'm getting into, because if I just want to read about two people falling in love, low stakes, like the lowest of stakes, I don't want to get into any like high angst lore world building. I don't want to get into that. I just want to read about two people falling in love. Then J.S. Jasper does that, and I like with her writing, she doesn't do the miscommunication trope, because that's not, I personally don't like that, and she doesn't do that, so I'm like, yay. But it's mainly like outside sources that's trying to pull like the characters in her stories apart, which I kind of like appreciate, because it's like, it makes sense why, they'll want to like do that for each other and stuff like that. But yeah, Spring Awakening was really good. I enjoyed it. 4.5 stars. Finished it February 5th, in case I skipped that in the beginning. I read Sight Unseen by Kasha Thompson. I gave this 5 stars. It's my second 5-star book of the year, and I finished it September 10th. This is giving, I haven't seen these shows, but I've seen the commercials of these shows, so based off the commercials and the title, I kind of get a feeling of what it's about. But it's a reality show called Sight Unseen, and it's giving the vibes of Marriage at First Sight and 90 Day Fiance, but like combining them, because these two characters, let's see, so Evelyn and Quincy, they get on the show called Sight Unseen, or is it called Why Not, with like a not spelled as like a K-N-O-T instead. Okay, so the show is either called Why Not or Sight Unseen, either way. It's a reality dating show on a cross between Marriage at First Sight and 90 Day Fiance. And the first time you see this person, right, because you do like this interview, this whole inclusive high like type interview with like these love experts, with like therapists and psychologists and like whatever else, and they pair you with like your best match based off of like this 100 like questionnaire, and based off of, I guess, personality, like whatever else. They pair you with like your best match, and so Quincy and Evelyn get paired, are like one of the pairings of this series, or like whatever, because there's 2 other couples with them, but we're only focusing on these 2 because it's about them. And the trial is, the first time we see each other is like at the altar, of course, and they have a trial period of like 90 days, which makes me think like 90 Day Fiance, to live together, to see if they're compatible emotionally, physically, mentally, sexually, like all that. And you just learn about like the characters along the way. And I also like it too, because not only are the characters learning about each other through each chapter, but we are too. So I like how we're just still like along for the ride, and it reads like a reality show. Like, of course, it mentioned cameras and stuff like that, and like then you have like the confessionals, because I think with us being inside of their minds, it's like half confessional, or like part confessional, part like you're like in their heads, or you're seeing it from their point of view, like they're letting us in, stuff like that. So I really like it. It was a fun read. It's super funny. Like the first 5 to 10%, I'm already giggling and laughing because the characters are super lovable. I love how supportive the friend characters are, and I just loved Quincy and Evelyn together, they're great. Like, they're super fun. And of course, with like a reality show, you're gonna get mad at like these characters at some point in time, and I feel like that's just like a given because they're gonna do things that you'll be like, that's not gonna look good later. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So it's really fun. I also recommend this as well. Well, all the books I've read, this is me recommending them to you, my wrap-ups. But it was really good. I enjoyed it. It was just so much fun. And then the next book I read is A Worthy Love by A. Valdez. This is like the 4th book in a series, but when I finished this September 14th, so on Valentine's Day. But I was trying to read the first book in the series. I think it's called All I've Wanted, All I've Needed, or vice versa. But the writing, I couldn't do it. And I know it's a series that like my fluff recommended, and I was telling her, hey, I can't do it. It's the writing. It's not for me. I don't think I can get through this. Like, I don't know. She was like, oh, but like she gets better in like the other books and like the third, or like she progressively gets better in like her writing as the series goes on. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to sit through all the books for the hopes of like getting better. It's like my first impression of like the author was like not the best, but she recommended Worthy Love, and it's the 4th book in the series because she even read them out of order because she didn't realize that they were it was like a series, but they're kind of interconnected series, like standalone type series, because it's a 4-book series, so with each series it's a different set of friends and like their love interests and stuff like that. And they're all friends. Like, I think everyone in the series are like all friends and stuff like that. But you just learn about their significant stories in the books. So, Worthy Love is about Marissa and Asher. And I cannot like describe it really. If I could do like forced proximity, because at one point she needs like a roommate to like get more funding for her yoga studio, like extra money and stuff, and he is on a project, an architectural project in the city that she's in, so he needs a place to stay because staying with his grandparents, they live all up in the country, and they the commute is like an hour, like unnecessarily like an hour long, and I don't know if I can do this like every day and stuff, even though he loves to go to his parents and stuff like that. He loves his grandparents, in case I said that like super fast, but yeah, so eventually they like move in together, like he moves in with her, and then things happen. They are funny, they're hilarious. I loved their banter. There were times where Marissa was like kind of getting on my nerves, and there were times where Asher did something and I'm like, I don't know about that, but it was like, I'm also glad they talked about some of these things as well. That was like bothering them once they officially like get together. Not a spoiler, because there's a lot of ups and downs, and will they, won't they, and I don't know their thoughts type back and forth. So, but it's a romance. I feel like with majority romances, you're going to know that they're going to get together at the end. It's just what happens, how do they get there? So yeah, but I enjoyed it. 4 stars, like a solid 4. It was a fun read. I love the banter so much, so also one I can recommend. And then I read the next book, All This Twisted Glory by Tahiri Mafi. I gave this 5 stars, so my 3rd 5-star book of the year so far, and I finished on February 20th. And I can't say too much about this book specifically because this is the 3rd book in the series, and if you see the other 2 here, This Woven Kingdom and These Infinite Threads, like I have these 2 on my shelf the hardcovers. Finally, I got them, in case you were like, if you recall, that I wanted to own the hard copy of these. And I was still going to wait on reading this, but earlier in the month of February, the author announced that book 4 is coming out, I think also in September or just later on in the year. I'll put the cover up on the screen of that as well. And I am super excited. The teal green is super pretty. I just know it looks so pretty amongst like the other ones. I already pre-ordered it on Amazon, and then if there's like a special edition somewhere, I may get that. But this is so good. I can't say much about it. Like I said, it's the 3rd book in the series. The whole series entirely is like a slow pacing, but still with it being slow pacing, so much happens. And also, I'm not a crier or like an emotional person after I read books, or it's like I can feel emotions if I can put it that way after like I read something that's like pretty heavy or stuff like that, like sad emotions or whatever. But here, the way this ended, I was like, it was like happy emotions, like happy, like almost, so my eyes are like watering, because if like the one thing I can say about this is that Cyrus is down bad. Like if you thought if you thought with me saying that this character here is down bad, this character here is down bad, I feel like Cyrus has proceed like all the other characters has been down bad. I know it's because it's like a fantasy, it's more like higher stakes, but because of that, he has upped the chain of like, he like surpassed my other like book bays. And so if we want to recap, so Cyrus is now number 1 because of how he was in this story. And then we go down the chain to Cinder's position as Finn, and then the roommate risk with Raoul. And then I'm trying to see who else is up there. And then we have, I want to say, what's his name? Roman, or Romeo, one of them from, so I don't have it up here, I read it on Kindle, from 1 week, Only for the Week, I think it's called, Only for the Week. And then Mal from Between Friends and Lovers. And I think that's it. But yes, like Cyrus is at the top. And oh my gosh, this is so good. Please get the series. Like, it's so good. It's so good. It's slow pacing, but also so much happens as you're like reading it, so it's kind of like, is it really slow or whatever, but it's really good. It's a necessary build up, and it's so good. Like I don't know how else to recommend this, but this is really good. The next book is Love and Bloom by Lucy Eden. I gave that 4.5 stars and I finished it February 26th. This was really good. It was also funny to say really good for like all the books I've read this month. I had a good reading month, which was super exciting. But Love and Bloom is about this lady named Emma, and she inherits a farm from like her grandparents. So if you ever played Stardew Valley, and you know the premise of it, that you inherit a farm from like your grandfather, and you get like all like his passing and stuff like that. So it was kind of giving me that vibes, but also in like the same week of her going to like the will for like her grandparents, when she inherits said farm, she gets fired from her job, and she has a big altercation with her current boyfriend, and they like, break up. And so she's like, well, might as well just try to like get my life back together at the farm, and it's always going to be temporary. But then she meets Dan, who is like the farm manager and worked with her grandparents, and he is like, everyone in town, because it's a small town, one of those small towns where everyone knows each other knows your name and stuff like that. So everyone's already out first chance giving her like these 30 looks because of the farm has done some great things for like the community, and we got this city girl coming in. She's gonna try to like change things. She may even sell it, and you know, all this other stuff. So they're already just having all these speculations about Emma and what her plans are for said farm. Yeah, so she's also, while she's there, there's something weird going on in the town, and she's trying to figure out what. So it's like a little mystery, but like if you read, it's like, if I can say like unserious, it's not like the biggest mystery around. Like once you've read like a 20% in, I guess, if not like sooner than that, you'll start thinking about it. Because I thought about it and I was like, that's not it, but it turned out to be it. So your first instinct is correct. But it was like really fun. I enjoyed it. It was super funny at times, and also like emotional, because I was getting like upset at like some parents. I was getting upset at some like the main characters as well. Not like too upset, but like just wondering what's gonna happen next after. But Love and Bloom was really good. I enjoyed it like I did with all of these books. The last book I read is Drunk in Love by Jasmine Guillory. I finished this February 28th, and I rated it 4.5 stars. This is about Margot Noble, and she owns a winery with her brother, and it's like one day she was like just tired from work, and she just needs the day to relax. So she goes to like her friend's restaurant, and she meets this guy at said bar restaurant, and they're like talking and having this good conversation, and they go back to his place because it's essentially closer and all this other stuff, and you know, have some fun. It's supposed to be just like a one night stand thing. But then turns out that the new hire for her winery that she has been hoping to get more staff to help out in, the new hire turned out to be the guy that she had the one night stand with over the weekend, and his name is Luke, and he is 5 to 6 years younger than her, because she's 34 and he's 28, so my math people. And yes, it's literally just about them trying to figure out where can this go, because Luke, he was coming from his high paying job in Silicon Valley, but he like just quit. He's like tired of it, and he moves back home to help one of his close friends get over like this bad breakup, and he needs something to do, so he's not just being bored, so he applies for the winery position, and their worlds like kind of collide, and it was like super fun, like a fun read. I also appreciate how like down bad they were for each other, and just a bunch of questions that like understandable of like what could happen, because he's younger, or like she's old. Well, he never thought age was like an issue, but with her she's like, he's young, he might not even be serious, and those like type of questions and stuff. But it was still really good. I was rooting for them. They're super lovable, and I also like how supportive the friends in here were as well, and were able to talk them through all these feelings they're having for their significant other. But yeah, that's the last book I read. I have some new reads and I forgot to get, so I wanted to share them with you, and wrap up this video real quick. So let me get those. Okay, so the new books that I bought during this month is Frenemies with Benefits, for the whole over here, by Cynthia Williams. I read a sample of this, which is why this little bookmark is here. I read the sample of it on Kindle, because I'm like, after I read What am I forgetting? All This Twisted Glory. So I'm like, that's not what it's called. After I read that, I was like trying to figure out what to read next. Like, I don't know if it was like a book hangover. I don't want to call it a book hangover because it didn't make me feel like empty. It made me feel full of emotions. And I was just like, didn't know what to read, and I was still in the world of Alizé and Cyrus from that book. So I was like, I don't know what to read. I don't know like what to really like delve in. And I had like a week and a half left, and I'm like, am I gonna read another book in a week and a half? I don't know. So I was going through the month already thinking that that All This Twisted Glory is gonna be the last book of the month of February that I read, but I read 2 more after that, so that didn't really, and I say work out. That wasn't planned, right? But Friends with Benefits, as the title says, frenemies with benefits. So this is about Tracy, and she just recently got a divorce from like her husband because her husband got her assistant in her bed and breakfast pregnant. This is also another small town type romance because everyone in Peachtree Cove, the small town, knows everybody. They all grew up together and stuff like that. So another small town where everybody is just in your business. Like the one con of being in a small town. And she's like tired of being, you know, the main person in the scandal and whatever else. Of course, it wasn't her fault, right? It's the husband's fault. We hate him. At least based off of the sample I read, we hate him. We hate him regardless because you cheated and got someone else pregnant, so you're trash. So she just wants to, you know, have her bed and breakfast thrive, not worry about like people, just worry about like herself, right? But she's still hurt by it because it's like fresh. It's been like a few months, I think, since. And then Brian, he is our other character. He has a nursery in town, and he recently got out of like a bad marriage, so he recently got divorced. We don't know why yet because, like I said, I didn't read that far yet, just sample wise. But he does a lot of work with Tracy with like with his nursery and her bed and breakfast because she always has him bring in plants for maybe like events or marriages and stuff like that. So they're always like working together, and yeah, I'm pretty sure eventually they'll become, you know, frenemies with benefits, because I don't know why the enemies part is there. I guess based off of what I can think of is that like she always thought he didn't really like her because she was like the girl who was like quiet and always speak quiet but still like speaks her mind, kind of like don't mess with her because then you're gonna get messed with type of stuff. And people were always like assuming she's just like her mother, and because her mother was like out here doing X, Y, and Z. And he was, I guess, like this popular kid and stuff like that. So, and she just, I guess with their interaction, she just always thought he ain't like her, but I'm pretty, that's the case. But I'm excited to read this. I don't know when I will, but hopefully this month, in March, I could like read this, or just whenever, right? I don't know when I'm gonna read it, but you'll know whenever I do a wrap up. And then the next book I got is The Fall of Souls by R.A. Moreau. Now, one of her books is being featured in Satisfaction in the April book box. So I am excited for that. And the book looks like super pretty. If I could pull up a picture, I would put it like up here if I do find it. And I feel like with me leaving space here, Editor Angel, please find it. But the book looks like super pretty, and the premise of it sounds interesting, and I'm like, I wouldn't mind getting it, but I just want to know how she writes. So I go to her page, and I see like a sample of this, like a free sample of this, and like the Hazel Witch, I think it's called. I got a sample of that. And just based off of this alone, because I think I did the Hazel Witch one first, and then I did this one. But this one, just like alone, I love the premise of it. It's like a mix between, or it says, there's reimagined storytelling of Nubian gods and goddesses is one of a kind adult fantasy romance filled with passion, secrets, and betrayal. So it's a really like fantasy, but like retelling of like Nubian, Egyptian type gods, and just I just really like the world building into it, and I'm super excited to get into this. I wish this was available either through Libby or Kindle, because the pages are pretty like bright to me, and I am not necessarily like used to that, like how it was with Elevator Pitch. I bought the book, but like the pages were super white, but it was available on Kindle Unlimited, so I read it through that. But either way, I'll just survive and really just read. I probably won't even notice it while I'm reading, so I'm super excited to get into this. It's like heavy fantasy and lore, but like with black and like brown characters, like diverse reads and stuff like that, and like fantasy, which, you know, if you've watched all of my videos up until now, it's kind of like what I stand for. But overall, I'm just super excited. So 2 new reads, and I also pre-ordered Oathbound, which is the 3rd book in the Legendborn Cycle series by Tracy Dion. I also put that book up here. I pre-ordered that. It's supposed to come out, I think, March 4th. So the day I'm recording is March 1st. So sometime this week it's supposed to come out. I pre-ordered it. I got the Barnes & Noble special edition. So like when I get that, I'll share that with you guys, because I'm super excited. I feel like it feels like March is going to be the month of fantasy, because I do want to read Oathbound. I want to get into this. Yeah, so I'm interested to see how all that goes. It seems like I'm gonna get a lot of fantasy in, like more fantasy than romance, but either way, I'm super excited. And yes, that's all I have for you. Sorry to just suddenly cut off. But thank you so much for spending time with me. Take some out of your day to chat with me about the books that I've read for February. Have you read any of them? Is anyone that you're interested in reading? Any new reads you're excited for? Let me know down below in the comments. And while you're there, please like, comment, of course, subscribe if you want to see more cozy content from me, whether it's books or gaming. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next one.